I'm Robin Hoffman. I'm an artist here, a public artist here in Charlottesville. And some people might ask, what is a public artist? Well, a public artist could be somebody who just goes around Belmont in Charlottesville and just happens to enjoy the hood, so to speak. I mean, we have people here who are dedicated professionals in Charlottesville of all sorts of mediums, such as sports, and people are in the arts, and some people are in gardening, architecture, engineers. I mean, it's just a plethora of different types of professions, and also intellects, why people are concerned about what they're concerned about and how they are so dedicated for those concerns. And there are some people who also donate to the free clinic very easily, like you just ask them, and they understand that the free clinic is a place where employed people can go because there are 20-year veterans of doctors and nurses and pharmacists and technologists who take care of them and are dedicated, and it's a sliding scale and that sort of thing. So let's stop at this house, because I think we're going to be able to meet somebody here who might have a profession that we didn't think about in Belmont. Oh, hello! How are you today?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
Okay, and you are?
I am Elly, and my last name is Appel.
Oh, it's so good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
So you are here in Belmont, in Charlottesville.
I am.
My goodness. Now, so what do you do here in Belmont? Are you a professional?
I do. I teach tennis, and I have a field hockey camp at UVA. I also train people alignment. So if you want to have a good posture and want to keep living like you live now for the rest of your life, you want to have a good alignment. So I train.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So we're so glad to have you here in Charlottesville, and I have to tell you that because I actually personally know of people who've been trained by you and have benefited like a million times, because it's so important for our breathing and our heart and our lungs and our extremities to have good tone, and to be able to have your heart work less than if you didn't have good tone, right? Like if your spine doesn't have alignment, your heart has to pump and it gets bigger and that sort of thing. So with good exercise and good posture and good food and air, can you tell us about that? Like, how do you think about that when you train somebody?
Well, I think I'll first look and see if they have any problems, and they will tell me if they have any pains and aches in the back or in the knees or in the ankles, and you can see it mostly too. And then we do some work like coordination. We do a couple of strengthening exercises, and everything has to do with how you hold your skeleton. So the muscles are having to hold your skeleton up and not your bones. And so we look to those things, and we do breathing. We clean the glands in our body, so we do a couple of exercises to cleaning the glands. And it is very simple and but very effective.
So now I also noticed like your body language, so to speak. When you're teaching, you have certain positions and movement that you use. And are you familiar with those movements through tennis? Because you are a professional tennis player. You got paid and you went through all kinds of wonderful things in your life, right?
Yes, I did. I played 12 years on the tour, so yes, I always look to alignment also when you are a tennis player. So even with coaching and with, you always look how the posture is. So yes, I do.
And so with that, are you playing professionally here in Charlottesville as well?
No, when I play professionally, I will go to play the World Cup or the World Championships, anywhere where it is played. This year it's going to be in Antalya in Turkey. Next year we're going to go to France. And so my Dutch Tennis Federation will send me over to play the World Championships there.
So
and the
this
World Cup.
is so a privilege to have you here in Charlottesville. And I also understand that you grow your own vegetables.
Yes, I do. I do. I have some space in the back where I grow my own vegetables. Things you use like garlic, chard, cucumber, potatoes, some flowers like calendula, what would help when you have a cold or other things. So little herbs and yeah, what we use.
You know right away because you are always making sure that your body has its readiness for sports. And people don't realize it unless they are athletes. Much energy you need, how much so your body is so important as well as your mind. That you are performing as a professional, you get paid, and so you need to make sure your body is really optimum. And people don't understand what that entails. Like, first of all, how much practice does an athlete who's at tennis have to have? Like, how do you keep yourself in shape, that sort of thing?
Well, the thing is, if you eat very well, so I think I was 17 years old when I started not eating any white flour or white sugar anymore, and that I did that throughout my whole career. So always good food, good nutrition is very important. You train every day, 3 hours, 2.5 hours. You do yoga, meditation, and that had all to do with, that's the whole package really. So it is not only doing one thing, or you do it all.
Yeah.
With an old wooden hacker or the latest metal racket, indoors or out, night or day, Americans have adopted tennis as a national pastime. Tennis is the country's fastest growing sport.
Very good. 4 balls. Will you come back again?
One reason for the great interest in tennis is the game's accessibility. There are nearly 200,000 courts throughout the United States. In Los Angeles, California, the Department of Parks and Recreation makes instruction readily available. Joanne Miles conducts a tennis camp each summer for young players. The program is free, open to all, and lasts about 8 weeks. Money to operate the camp is provided by the city. Joanne works with youngsters from 5 to 17, but prefers to group classes by ability rather than age. Lessons are often attended by the same young players for several summers, giving Joanne the opportunity to develop her students' skills on a continuing, progressive basis. Joanne is assisted in the program by former national women's champion Darlene Hard. Darlene herself achieved tennis stardom after learning the game on the public courts of Los Angeles as a child.
Smoothly. Keep those tootsies on the ground, lady. Going smoothly.
As tennis players mature, some want to advance beyond a casual interest in the game and move into competition tennis. The Parks and Recreation Department provides a means. The Los Angeles Public Parks Tennis Championships are held annually and are open to residents of the city for a modest entry fee. Historically, municipal tournaments throughout the country are the springboards from which talented players jump into the professional tennis ranks. One such player is the gifted champion, Pancho Gonzalez, winner of major tournaments from Forest Hills to Wimbledon.
Well, I was active all my life, actually, as an athlete. From the time I was about 10 years old, I was doing decathlon type of events and played handball. And so Christmas in 1940, there was a tennis racket under the Christmas tree, and this kind of pushed me into tennis. And I think once or twice I had to weigh whether I wanted to play basketball, football, or baseball as compared to tennis. But I seemed to be able to get more out of tennis than I did out of the others, so I stayed with tennis. Tennis, for the most part, can be an inexpensive sport to play. There's still a lot of public park courts and a lot of courts around cities all over the country. And aside from it costing you for a few balls and a tennis racket and some good strings, it's an inexpensive sport to play compared to other sports. And I don't think anyone's going to argue with that.
Half a century ago, an adolescent Pancho Gonzalez ambled onto a public court in Los Angeles and slapped at a forehand. A lifetime of practice and dedication have followed. The tennis stars of tomorrow will have to work just as hard, but with the mushrooming popularity of the game and a new interest in organizing the sport, there will be abundant challengers to fill the sneakers of the legendary Pancho Gonzalez.
So we're gonna go see Elly's garden and how she makes her herbs for her sports events. So Elly,
Yes.
this is your garden.
Yes, it is ready to put my sheets in. It's so ready. It's waiting. The garlic is coming up, and really everything what is growing in your garden you need. Like there is dandelion, so that's a very good source of iron and cleaning, detox your liver. So if you need that, then it grows in your garden, so you just eat it. You make or a soup of it, or you just eat the vegetables, and I do that often.
So now, do you have a science to the way it grows? Like, do you know if it's going to grow in the spring or in the summer or that sort of thing? I mean, how do you begin your sort of planting or whatever?
Well, mostly I put like the parsley and the herbals, what you use daily, coriander, basil. I use a little bit more on top, and then I have chard and red beets and cucumber and potatoes in the middle there. I have some herbals over there. So it is tomatoes. I have some tomatoes growing more in the middle. So.
And do you let them die into the soil so that it becomes organic, that sort of thing, or how do you get rid of your plants at the end of the season, that sort of thing?
Well, I recycle all the greens.
Oh,
so I
okay.
make a big hole in the ground, and I put all the recycled vegetables I use also in it. So yeah.
Nice.
And then the chard, they will grow till next the fall. You can still eat that in the fall.
Oh. So, the thing that happens a lot of times in Belmont is that people set up their gardens, for their own eating and that sort of thing. And what people don't realize, I think, is that now with global warming, most of our farms in California where we import our stuff from is not going to be there for us because of the drought. So here we are in 2014, and people like you who could probably, buy things in the grocery store, have been doing this all your life, are going to benefit because your soil's going to be very healthy. It's going to be full of nitrates from the growth and the reburying and all that sort of thing. That's what makes it organic. Your soil becomes rich with nutrients from from actually the plants that go back into the soil. That's what organic is. And as a result, with the herbs and spices and stuff like that, a lot of times it takes a lot of the pesticides away. That's why people usually put that in the parameter or the sides of the garden and that sort of thing. And then the Three Sisters thing, where they have the corn and the squash and that sort of thing, where it grows at one season and then it dies and it gives nutrients to the next one. People know about that as well, and you can have everything you need every day if you do this every year, right? Am I right?
Right.
And you can have vitamins come from freshness, right?
Right.
The moment that you take it is the moment the vitamin starts to break down. The moment that you ingest it is when it benefits you.
That's for sure, and I also believe that everything, not only when you eat it, but also when you tell your body, I need vitamin B or I need vitamin C, that the body will make it. So it is how you treat the body and believe that the body can reproduce anything what you have, what you need. If it is calcium, potassium, the body will make it.
That's so awesome. It's true that you're, as a spokesperson for good health, you would know because you need to be in touch with your body, especially if you're going to use all that energy, for instance, for such an art, for a feat as to be playing pro tennis. It's that people don't realize it, but that there's a point. I mean, I don't want to say any particular tennis player, because I know you have favorites or whatever, but I do watch the Williams sisters, and I do see the athleticism it entails. I mean, you know, when you watch people, you know, going like this, it's really because it's coming from everywhere, you know, that one effort. And it's, as a professional, it's not like you can go sit down after an hour. You have to play for 3 hours or 4 hours, right?
Correct. Yes, you do. And the temperatures are rising, so it depends which time of the year, but in Australia it is very, very hot. 110, 108. Center court has no wind, so that is really, you're crowded in with lots of people, and so you have to make sure that dehydration, you keep it on a good level because of the heat. So it is all depends where you are. But even in the summers in Europe, can be very hot. In America during the U.S. Open, it's very, very hot. So.
And I have to say, personally, I mean, well, I moved here in 2006, and once you were so kind as to give me a lesson, and I pooped out like after I think 10 minutes because it was so hot. But I mean, you are such an awesome teacher and instructor because for me, you bring in all of that. Like, you know, you had all the considerations of how my body was performing. You gave me, you know, because I actually do have a slight scoliosis. I was raised with that. And I actually did ballet, so I knew about balancing and that sort of thing, and I've always played tennis. But, you know, been since not athletic enough. And so you were very kind and generous, and you were like really actually, you know, trying to figure out, even with that 10-minute lesson, what would benefit me. And you did. You gave me like a whole conversation. I was like so pleased. And so we are so happy to have you here in Charlottesville. And hopefully you'll continue to help everybody. Because, and then we can watch you also perform. It would be really awesome. And I just want to say that this is a beautiful place for you. I mean, it fits so well, I think.
I know. I'm very lucky to be in Charlottesville. I'm very, very lucky. I think those mountains have something very special, and the people are really nice, and I feel more at home even now in Charlottesville than I am in Holland. Even though I do have my wooden shoes here. I can work in the garden on my wooden shoes.
Well, so I just want to thank you so much, Elly,
You're
for this
so
time here
welcome,
and
Robin.
for you being here for us. And for you, I want to just also welcome you because I moved into Belmont-ish, Woolen Mills over there, and you can walk to my house. We can go on the Ravenna with my bicycles. I got lots of bicycles in my house.
Beautiful.
So,
and lots of wildflowers on the moment.
Yeah.
On the
Awesome. Yeah.
The polite, tradition-worshipping game of tournament tennis has been shaken up in recent years by a new innovation. World Team Tennis. Except for the tennis ball and the racket, there is little resemblance to the traditional tennis tournament. The action is faster, the scoring simpler, and the fans more vocal. But the biggest difference is that instead of individual players competing for themselves, team tennis is played by teams from different cities, just as in soccer or basketball. Each World Team Tennis match gives the fans 5 different sets: a men's and a women's single, a men's and a women's double, and a mixed double. Other innovations are blazing court colors, fewer linesmen, and the option of replacing players during a set. Each tennis team is made up of 3 men and 3 women. Many of the world's top tennis stars have joined the teams. Stars like Rod Laver, Chris Evert, Bjorn Borg, Rosie Casals, Gilly Nastasi, and one of the founders of World Team Tennis, Billie Jean King. An unusual aspect of team tennis is that for the first time in sports, women compete alongside men for an equal share of the glamour, prestige, and big money contracts. More than ever, the fans are involved, cheering on the home team and jeering the visitors. Some players, accustomed to the more polite tournament tennis crowd, are having trouble adjusting to the rudeness of the hometown fans. Since it began in 1974, World Team Tennis has grown to 9 American teams and a team from the Soviet Union. Several other countries are expected to join the league in the near future. Its supporters envision worldwide acceptance of the new sport, with the possibility that one day tournament-style tennis will adopt the innovations of World Team Tennis.